You're taking a casual dip in a beautiful lake, only to discover your skin burning within seconds. Every year, unsuspecting swimmers lose their lives in waters that look as peaceful as a backyard pond. These aren't scenes from a horror movie. They're real places scattered across the globe. And today, we're counting down the 10 most lethal swimming spots on Earth. 10. The Bolton Strid in Yorkshire looks harmless enough. Just a peaceful stream cutting through a serene forest. At only 6 feet across, many visitors assume they could easily jump from one side to the other. But beneath its calm surface lies a death trap that's claimed countless lives. The Strid isn't actually a stream at all. It's the river wharf turned sideways. What makes this location truly terrifying is its deceptive nature. Before reaching the Strid, the river wharf flows peacefully at about 30 feet wide. But instead of simply narrowing, the river turns vertically, compressing all its force downward. This creates a complex network of underwater caves and channels so deep that no measurement equipment has successfully mapped them. The water pressure is so intense that it's destroyed every piece of diving equipment and underwater camera that's tried to explore its depths. Despite the violent forces churning below, the surface often appears smooth and calm, a deadly optical illusion that's lured many to their doom. Centuries of relentless water pressure have worn the underwater rocks completely smooth, while their black color makes the water appear deceptively shallow. In reality, some sections are incredibly deep. Local legend tells of a young boy who attempted to leap across the Strid in the 12th century to impress his future bride. Neither body was ever found. More recently, a honeymooning couple disappeared into its waters in 1998. Every single person known to have fallen into the Bolton Strid has died. But while the Bolton Strid's dangers lie in its visible rushing waters, our next location hides its lethal nature beneath a deceptively peaceful surface. 9. Jacob's Well in Texas has lured countless adventurous divers to explore its depths, but not all of them have returned. Hidden beneath a seemingly innocent natural spring lies one of the most complex and dangerous cave systems in the world. From the surface, Jacob's Well looks like a perfect swimming spot. Crystal clear water bubbles up from a 12-foot wide opening in the creek bed, creating a natural artesian spring that maintains a refreshing 68 degrees year-round. Local indigenous peoples once considered this a sacred site, believing its seemingly endless depth held spiritual powers. But what they saw as mystical power has a deadly physical force. The spring pumps out thousands of gallons of water per minute, creating currents so strong they can suddenly suck down objects and people from the surface. The cave system's true horror begins 30 feet down, where the vertical shaft splits into multiple chambers. The first chamber descends to 30 feet, leading to the second chamber at 80 feet, ominously nicknamed the Tunnel of Doom. Beyond these lie third and fourth chambers, even deeper and more treacherous. The entire system plunges to about 140 feet at its deepest known point, finally mapped for the first time in 2000 using specialized equipment that revealed previously unknown passages. What makes Jacob's Well especially dangerous is a phenomenon called silt out. When divers disturb the fine silt at the bottom of the caves, it creates a thick underwater cloud that reduces visibility to zero within seconds. In these conditions, even the most experienced divers can lose track of their guidelines, their literal lifeline back to the surface. The danger is amplified during droughts when water levels drop, revealing even more dangerous tight spaces and passages that are usually submerged. The well's deadly nature was tragically demonstrated in 1979, when 2 divers became lost in its depths. Their bodies were only recovered over a month later by another diver, who himself would perish in these same waters the following year. Since 1964, at least 8 divers have lost their lives here, despite warning signs and attempts to seal off the deeper chambers with metal grates. While Jacob's Well claims experienced divers, it pales in comparison to our next location, 8. The Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt, is one of the most notorious dive sites in the world. From above, it looks like a perfect circle carved into the coral reef, a stunning natural formation that draws divers from across the globe. But beneath the surface lurks a site so deadly, it's earned the grim nickname Diver's Cemetery. The Blue Hole plunges to depths of 400 feet. Deeper than a football field is long. Local Bedouin people call it the Diver's Graveyard, once believing it was cursed by evil spirits due to the number of deaths. At around 165 feet, there's a phenomenon called the squeeze, a narrow passage that has trapped divers who try to navigate through it. The arch opening looks deceptively close from the surface due to the water's clarity, making inexperienced divers think they can easily reach it. The water temperature drops dramatically as you descend, causing additional stress on both body and equipment. The hole was formed during the last ice age when sea levels were much lower, creating what was originally a land-based cave system. Despite being just a few meters from the shore, the hole drops off immediately with no gradual slope, creating a sheer underwater cliff. Perhaps most chilling is the wall of plaques next to the Blue Hole, a grim memorial to over 40 confirmed diving fatalities. However, some diving experts estimate the actual death toll could be over 200, as many bodies have never been recovered due to the extreme depth. Among these casualties, the story of Yuri Lipsky stands out. An experienced diver, Lipsky recorded his own death with his helmet camera in 2000, providing a haunting reminder of how quickly things can go wrong at these depths. Local authorities have since implemented stricter regulations, but the Blue Hole continues to claim lives, particularly among those who attempt to dive it without proper technical diving certification. While the previous locations kill through pressure, currents, and disorientation, our next deadly water body takes a more direct approach. 7. Boiling Lake in Dominica lives up to its name in the most terrifying way possible. Hidden deep in the heart of Morne-Trois, Pitons National Park, this gray-blue cauldron is the second largest hot spring in the world. The lake's high temperature comes from hot gases escaping from a crack in a magma chamber below, essentially making it a giant natural pot sitting on a volcanic stove. The lake's water temperature typically ranges from 180 to 197 degrees Fahrenheit, but scientists have recorded temperatures reaching as high as 210 degrees Fahrenheit in certain spots. Hot enough to cause third-degree burns in less than a second, the entire lake is constantly bubbling and churning, surrounded by walls up to 100 feet high. Any rain that falls into the crater is instantly vaporized, creating a constant supernatural-looking mist that hovers over the surface. What makes this location particularly deadly is that it's not just the water you have to worry about. To even reach the lake, hikers must traverse the aptly named Valley of Desolation, a barren landscape of bubbling mud pots, steam vents, and mini geysers, all emitting toxic sulfur gases. These fumes create a lethal cocktail of superheated steam and poisonous gases that can kill long before you reach the water's edge. Local folklore tells of an entire search party that allegedly disappeared in 1901 after getting too close while investigating a missing person case. The lake's size is equally intimidating. Spanning over 200 feet across, it's large enough to swallow a building whole. Scientists who've studied the lake haven't been able to measure its true depth because their equipment keeps getting destroyed by the extreme conditions. Even more unsettling is the lake's unpredictable nature. In 2004, it completely dried up for several hours before refilling, and a similar event occurred in 2016, when it drained like a bathtub before refilling. During periods of high volcanic activity, the gases become so concentrated that even approaching the lake can be fatal. While Boiling Lake kills with heat, our next location takes a more chemical approach to ending life. 6. Lake Natron in Tanzania might be the most eerily beautiful killer on our list. Its waters glow a bright red or deep orange color, creating what looks like a supernatural painting across the African landscape. This blood-red color comes from microorganisms that thrive in extreme conditions. They're the only living things that can survive in its deadly waters. But this stunning view hides a deadly secret. The lake is so caustic, it can turn living creatures into stone-like statues. This real-life Medusa gets its petrifying power from an extreme chemical makeup. The lake's pH levels can reach up to 10.5, so alkaline it can strip human skin on contact. Imagine jumping into a bath of ammonia mixed with bleach. That's what swimming in Lake Natron would feel like, if you survived long enough to feel anything at all. The lake's surface often appears mirror-like, creating a deadly illusion that tricks birds into thinking they're diving into clear water. Surprisingly, despite its lethal nature, Lake Natron serves as the primary breeding ground for lesser flamingos, with over 2.5 million birds nesting there. These remarkable creatures have evolved to build their nests on small islands of salt that form in the lake. The lake itself can reach depths of 10 feet, but is usually only 3 feet deep, with its size varying dramatically between seasons. The lake's deadly nature was thrust into the spotlight when photographer Nick Brandt discovered countless animals perfectly preserved, looking as if they'd been frozen in time mid-movement. Birds, bats, and other creatures that mistake the lake's glassy surface for a safe landing spot never take off again. Perhaps most disturbing is how the lake preserves its victims. They remain posed exactly as they were in their final moments, creating a macabre gallery of stone-like figures frozen in their last desperate attempts to escape. If Lake Natron represents nature's deadliest surface water, our next location shows that what lurks beneath can be equally lethal. 5. Eagle's Nest Sinkhole in Florida has earned the nickname Mount Everest of cave diving, but comparing it to Everest might be understating the danger. While Everest has a death rate of about 1%, this underwater cave system has claimed the lives of at least 12 expert divers since 1981, and those are just the documented cases. Multiple warning signs at the entrance now read, "Stop, prevent your death. Go no further," put up after several fatalities, including a tragic incident in 2004, when a father and son died while diving here on Christmas Day, leading to temporary closure of the site. From the surface, Eagle's Nest appears deceptively peaceful, just a small pond in the middle of the Chassahowitzka Wildlife Management Area. Local divers call it the Lost Sink because it's so remote. The nearest hospital is over an hour away, making rescue attempts extremely challenging. The water appears murky at first, but becomes crystal clear once you descend past the tannic surface layer, creating a false sense of security. The entrance shaft plunges down 200 feet before opening into a massive underwater chamber nicknamed the Main Ballroom, large enough to fit a jumbo jet. This chamber is so vast that divers' lights often can't reach the walls, creating a terrifying sensation of floating in endless darkness. The cave system itself is so extensive that parts of it remain unmapped despite decades of exploration. While the temperature at depth stays at a constant 72 degrees Fahrenheit, the extreme pressure can make it feel much colder. What makes this site particularly lethal is its layout. Beyond the main ballroom, the cave system splits into a maze of narrow tunnels, some barely wide enough for a diver to squeeze through with their equipment. At these depths, the water is pitch black, and divers must rely entirely on their lights and guidelines. One wrong turn, one equipment failure, or one momentary panic can mean the difference between life and death. The extreme depth creates another deadly challenge: decompression sickness, or the bends. At 300 feet down, divers must carefully plan their ascent with multiple decompression stops. Run out of air during one of these mandatory stops, and you face an impossible choice: risk a rapid ascent that could kill you, or stay at depth until your air supply depletes completely. While Eagle's Nest represents nature's deadly architecture, humans have managed to create something equally lethal. 4. The Blue Lagoon in Derbyshire, England looks like something from a fairy tale. A stunning pool of bright turquoise water nestled in the rolling hills of the Peak District. But this isn't some natural wonder. It's a former limestone quarry known as Far Hill Quarry, which was abandoned in the 1970s and filled with water. What's left behind is a pool of water so caustic it can cause chemical burns similar to those from drain cleaner. The lagoon's inviting blue color comes from the caustic chemicals that saturate the water. The pH level here sits at 11.3, just slightly less alkaline than household bleach at 12.6. In addition to its bleach-like pH, the water contains both caustic chemicals and radioactive compounds from the old quarrying operations. Even the air around the lagoon can be dangerous to breathe due to the chemical fumes that rise from the surface. The quarry's limestone walls continue to leach calcium oxide, keeping it perpetually caustic. Despite being called a lagoon, the water reaches depths of about 50 feet, but visibility is extremely poor due to the chemical composition. During summer months, the situation becomes even more dangerous as the water develops toxic algal blooms. The site is also littered with abandoned cars and other industrial waste, creating invisible hazards beneath the surface. The water contains high levels of toxic metals, and the lagoon floor is coated with a thick layer of human waste and dead animals. Despite numerous warning signs and the authorities regularly dyeing the water black to make it less appealing, people still flock to the Blue Lagoon for photos and swims, especially during hot summer days. Local authorities have reported multiple cases of severe chemical burns, eye issues, and stomach problems from those who ignored the warnings. Even standing near the water for too long can cause skin and eye irritation from the caustic spray carried by the wind. The Blue Lagoon proves that sometimes the deadliest waters are man-made. 3. But nature still holds the crown for creating the most deceptively dangerous swimming spots. Hanakapiai Beach in Hawaii appears to be a pristine paradise, a quarter-mile stretch of white sand tucked away along Kauai's Napali coast. But this remote beach has earned a grim nickname, the Beach of Death. A sign at the trailhead keeps a tally of visitors who have died here, serving as a stark warning to those who might underestimate its dangers. Local legends tell of an ancient Hawaiian curse on the beach, warning outsiders to stay away. What makes this beach particularly lethal is its perfect storm of deadly conditions. Unlike most Hawaiian beaches, Hanakapiai has no reef barrier to break incoming waves. During winter months, these waves can reach heights of up to 40 feet, taller than a 4-story building. The beach completely disappears during high winter tides, with waves reaching all the way to the cliff walls. Even reaching the beach is treacherous. Slippery, narrow trails along cliff edges have claimed several lives before visitors even reach the water. The beach's remote location adds another layer of danger. It's only accessible via a challenging 2-mile hike, which means no lifeguards, no cell phone service, and no quick rescue options. The rip currents are so powerful that many victims' bodies are never recovered. They're pulled so far out to sea that search efforts become impossible. What's worse, the beach's unique geography creates a phenomenon where currents can pull swimmers sideways along the coast before dragging them out to sea, making traditional rip current survival tactics less effective. What makes Hanakapiai especially deceptive is its seasonal nature. During summer months, the beach can appear calm and inviting, but the ocean conditions can change dramatically within minutes. Visitors who arrive during calm conditions often get trapped when the tide suddenly rises, powerful waves appear, and rip currents form, turning this paradise into a death trap. Even experienced swimmers have been helpless against the raw power of these waters. If Hanakapiai Beach shows us the ocean's deadly power, our next location reminds us that some waters are deadly down to their very molecular structure. 2. Laguna Caliente in Costa Rica lives up to its name. Hot lagoon in the most extreme way possible. Sitting in the crater of the active Poas volcano, this is one of the most acidic lakes ever measured on Earth. But its acidity isn't even its deadliest feature. This lake has a pH level between 0 and 1, making it more acidic than battery acid. The water is so corrosive, it can dissolve metal within hours. A single drop on human skin can cause severe chemical burns, and the fumes alone can damage your respiratory system. Scientists studying the lake must wear protective suits that look more appropriate for handling nuclear waste than studying a lake. What makes Laguna Caliente particularly lethal is its unpredictable nature. The lake regularly experiences what scientists call phreatic eruptions, violent steam explosions that can shoot boiling, acidic water hundreds of feet into the air without warning. These eruptions often occur with such force that they create waves of scalding acid water that can splash well beyond the lake's shores. The lake's bright turquoise color masks another invisible killer: toxic volcanic gases that collect just above its surface. These gases, including sulfur dioxide and hydrogen chloride, can be lethal in just a few breaths. During periods of volcanic activity, the lake has been known to suddenly empty and refill within hours, creating massive steam explosions that can throw acidic mud and rocks hundreds of feet into the air. While Laguna Caliente kills with its caustic chemistry, our final location proves that sometimes the deadliest waters are those that seem the most pristine. 1. The Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize looks like a perfect dark circle cut into the ocean, a massive underwater sinkhole visible from space. Jacques Cousteau made this site famous in 1971, declaring it one of the top 10 diving sites in the world. Ironically, this fame has contributed to its danger by attracting inexperienced divers to its deadly depths. The danger begins around 120 feet down, where the crystal-clear Caribbean waters suddenly turn pitch black. Here, divers enter what's known as the dead zone, a layer of hydrogen sulfide that creates a distinct separation between clear and murky water. The temperature drops dramatically as you descend, from around 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface to below 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the depths. Divers report experiencing intense feelings of isolation and disorientation due to the perfect circular shape of the walls combined with the darkness. What makes this site particularly lethal is the combination of extreme depth and nitrogen narcosis. At these depths, nitrogen builds up in a diver's bloodstream, creating an effect similar to alcohol intoxication. Decision-making becomes impaired exactly when clear thinking is most crucial. At around 300 feet deep, there's almost no oxygen in the water, creating a lifeless zone where few creatures can survive. Scientists have discovered preserved animal remains at the bottom that may be thousands of years old, preserved by this lack of oxygen. Stalactites formed in this cave during the last ice age, when it was above sea level, now create a maze-like environment at extreme depths. The hole contains several underwater caves and crevices, some of which still remain unexplored due to their extreme depth and dangerous conditions. These ancient formations, combined with the darkness and narcosis, have trapped divers who ventured too deep. Even more chilling are the undiscovered caverns and tunnels that branch off from the main hole. Their true extent remains unknown because exploring them is too dangerous. These 10 locations stand as nature's deadliest deceptions, places where beauty masks unimaginable danger. From the innocent-looking stream of Bolton Strid that holds a perfect kill rate, to the crystalline waters of the Great Blue Hole that can disorient even the most experienced divers, each site continues to claim lives despite countless warnings and protective measures. But perhaps what makes these places truly terrifying isn't just their lethal nature. It's how they represent a darker truth about our world. In an age where every corner of Earth has been mapped and photographed, these locations remind us that nature still holds secrets we can't fully understand or control. The next time you're traveling and spot a beautiful lake, stream, or beach that seems to call out to you, remember this: sometimes the most inviting waters are the ones most likely to ensure you never return. And while these 10 locations might be the most documented deadly swimming spots in the world, they're not the only ones. Scattered across the globe are countless other bodies of water whose death tolls remain unknown, waiting silently for their next victim. The question isn't whether more deadly swimming spots exist, it's whether you'll recognize one before it's too late.